What's going on, Trojan family? Welcome to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. We are Los Angeles Sports. This is your daily dose of USC Trojans news. Talking D'Anton Lynn, Coach D'Anton Lynn. Obviously, we know the team across town, UCLA Bruins. I wouldn't say shockingly, but maybe surprisingly this early, fired DeShaun Foster. And so the rumors have begun on who the next head coach will be. And D'Anton Lynn's name has popped up among many lists. So I want to jump on here and talk about why I believe Trojan fans don't need to worry about that. So we'll talk about that. But quickly, shout out to our sponsor of the LAFB Network, Sleeper. It's the #1 sports app going right now. Just go to the Apple Store or Google Play, download Sleeper. And when you go to make your first deposit, make sure to use our promo code USCLAFB. Once again, that's USCLAFB. You're going to get a $100 match bonus on your first deposit. Put in $100, you get $100 free to play with. You can use this deposit towards their daily pick'em. You pick 2 to 8 players. Just choose more or less, whether that's yards, touchdowns, receptions, rushing yards, sacks, tackles, whatever. You can do college football, NFL. You can add NBA if you're doing points, assists, rebounds, NHL, all these different sports. Use promo code USCLAFB, get that $100 match bonus, and check out Sleeper today. All right, so a lot of coaching names have been thrown out now with this UCLA. And, to UCLA's credit, this is why they made this move early, was it would give them a long time to, make this hire, if you will. Now, again, I'm not super familiar with all the logistics of what you're allowed to do, who you're allowed to talk to during the season, what the interview process can look like. Obviously, other schools are not going to be too pumped with their coaches interviewing for a job in September or October when the season's just begun. So I don't know exactly how that'll all look. Obviously, I think phone calls will happen. Interest will be gauged of who they can pursue rather quickly, especially in college football when recruiting is so important, and when it changes like that, and you want to, 7 already of their 2026 class have decommitted since Foster was fired. So there's also other rumors of members of their staff and whatever. Like we're not talking all that yet because I don't know a ton. But in regards to D'Anton Lynn, I think the reason his name has come up is the obvious reason, and maybe it's the lazy reason. He was, the defensive coordinator for UCLA. Given his first defensive coordinator shot, Chip Kelly did, when he hired him, he turned that unit from an 80th ranked defensive unit to the 11th ranked unit. It was the reason why then USC went out and hired him. It was also the reason, obviously last year included, why when Penn State came calling for D'Anton Lynn, USC made him, they don't disclose the exact numbers, but I think there's reports or rumors out there that he is the highest paid coordinator in college football, or at least up there. So that's the obvious reason, right? Like he's a hot name. He's a great DC. He's in town. He seems to like Los Angeles, and he was at UCLA for a year. To me, and I've said this before, when he turned down the Penn State defensive coordinator job, his alma mater, that to me was a signal that he will not go anywhere else in college. And when he does eventually leave USC, it will be to go back to the NFL. Remember, he grew up in the NFL. His dad, D'Anton Lynn, has been an NFL coach for decades. He got his start in the NFL with his dad and other staffs and on the Ravens staff and Houston Texans staff. When you kind of see his demeanor and talk to him, phenomenal college coach, great mentor, loves the student athlete. So I'm not saying any of that, but he's more of a NFL guy, I think. Could be wrong, just based on the interactions I've had. And that doesn't mean he's not built and doesn't love college football, and obviously we know what he's done at USC. I just think when it comes to for sure becoming a head coach, I'm not sure, and this is just my opinion, this is not source, but I'm not sure he even really wants to maybe be a collegiate head coach and all that comes with it. You just have to be, not necessarily even built different. You just have to have different priorities when it comes to being a coach. Like, being a college head coach is very different than being an NFL head coach. It helps now with GMs and whatnot in that, but it's still just a different game when it comes to recruiting. And he obviously has been now in the recruiting game with USC, but he is still not like the lead recruiter. Like, we all know Coach Henne, when it comes to defense, Henne, Belk, Reed, like those are the main recruiters on defense. Then D'Anton Lynn obviously comes in and helps close, and he's involved. But he's not the initial recruiter. And that's just how college football works. You kind of have your few coaches that are your big recruiters, and then whoever else it may be comes in and helps close. UCLA, like, one of the things they have to have with this hire is not only someone that wants to recruit, but someone who has proven to be an elite recruiter. And so, again, not saying that D'Anton Lynn isn't or cannot be, but with how that program is, like, they need a true proven recruiting commodity. Someone that's either as a coordinator or already as a head coach has, like, built a program recruiting. I don't think they can take a flyer on someone that's still kind of, he's only been at college. This is only his third season as a coordinator in college football. One at UCLA, one at SC, and now this year. So I think that, for that reason, is why I don't think it's as serious. The main reason, though, as I said initially, I think he's at USC until he goes back to the NFL. I just think that's more what he wants. Again, this is my opinion. I haven't talked to him specifically. I haven't talked to people around him. But just based on him staying at SC over Penn State, that to me was like, okay. Unless James Franklin gets hired and he gets offered the head coaching job at Penn State, that may be a little different. But outside of that, to me, it's USC till he gets a call back for the NFL. And I could see him go back to the NFL as a DC. It may not have to be as a head coach. He could go from USC DC to an NFL DC. But I don't see him taking another collegiate job. I just don't. I just don't think that's what he wants. I think he's very happy at USC. I think he loves what they're building. Now, if SC goes and wins the Natty this year, maybe that changes things. If you accomplish that, maybe that changes things. But now let's get to the other two pieces. Because D'Anton Lynn's a very smart guy. A lot of these coaches are. But there's coaches out there that, and you have to have a little cockiness in this, but there's coaches out there that, A, are looking for a promotion, obviously. If you're a coordinator to a head coach, or you're a head coach at a small program, you're looking for a promotion. But two, there's coaches that say, I can fix that. I can fix that. I can be the one to turn the program around. Where UCLA is right now, and you can watch our UCLA show with Madman and Will. They know much better than me. Obviously, I'm more honed in on USC. But it's not rocket science to know that the program needs like a full reset. Full reset. From coaching, from NIL, from marketing, from, all of it. They need a full reset. So if you're UCLA in that regard, also, you either kind of need a really proven, like I said, recruiter. And again, this isn't slighting Dan Lynn, so I don't want to turn it like that. But someone like, I think, who's been highly linked also, Tony White, Florida State DC, who's been a proven DC at multiple stops, is a proven recruiter, is a UCLA alum, and has been with multiple different programs kind of seeing how they're built. Or you need like a head coach that's already been a head coach. It's built programs. Like, they should have gotten Barry Odom last year. When Odom was at UNLV, they should have gotten Barry Odom instead of letting Purdue get Barry Odom. Because that's a guy who's, that's a promotion still. And it's a guy that's built programs. They should have gotten Kirk Cinetti 2 years ago. After all the places he had built up in small programs in Elon and James Madison before Indiana got him. Like, they need someone like that. Maybe someone like a Matt Entz who's at we'll see how Fresno State does this year, but it had success at North Dakota State. Came to USC for a year as a position coach. Now he's at Fresno State. I think that's more what they need because they're going to be building from the ground up. Complete restart. And they have other issues, and their athletic director, and that's a whole other conversation. So I'm not going down that road. But I think for all of those reasons, in my opinion right now, I don't think there should be any worry that D'Anton Lynn's leaving USC for UCLA. So I don't know what you guys think, if there is any concern. And I want to be very clear. It's not that he's not qualified. It's not that I don't think is not going to be. I believe he will be a really good head coach one day if that's what he so chooses. So I definitely don't want that to get misconstrued because I freaking love D'Anton Lynn. I think he's a phenomenal coach. Great human being. Great leader of men. Players love him. So it's not that he wouldn't potentially have success. I just think where the state of UCLA is, they need something a little different. And based on just D'Anton Lynn and his kind of characteristics, I don't see that job being for him. I see him staying at USC and then going back to the NFL whenever the time does come. Now, hopefully we get him at USC for quite some time because I know there's been talk about the defense this year and some of the struggles. I don't think that should be an indictment on D'Anton Lynn and the success he's had in 2 years. I think there's just, been some growing pains and some things they're working out through 3 games. Maybe I said 2 games, but so I don't want to get too long-winded in this one. But I feel very confident there should be no fear D'Anton Lynn's leaving. And if he does, great to him. I think he's worth of a promotion. I just think that situation, he's better off staying. And, we don't know, again, the terms, but money-wise, he may not get much more at UCLA than he's getting as the DC at USC. Now, there's been chatter, and I've had other conversations of, some big boosters maybe stepping up to change that for UCLA, but that's a different conversation. So, anyway, I don't know if there's been fear, worry, conversation. Oh, I know there's been conversation. He's been linked in just about every publication out there. I actually wrote one. It felt weird writing a UCLA article, but I wrote one before DeShaun was fired. Just, 5 candidates the UCLA could target, and I did not include him just because I don't believe it's going to happen. So I think he's at USC to the NFL. I'll say it again. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you as always, Trojan family. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. Are you still very happy with Coach Lynn? I think the sentiment should be yes. I know that, again, there's been some concerns on the secondary, the back end. I think they will get it fixed. I think we will see improvement. I think he's still one of the best defensive minds in college football. So what's your guys' thoughts on Lynn? Do you feel confident he's going to be at USC for a few more years? What's your thoughts on that? Comment below on the LAFB or USC LAFB YouTube channel. Just let me know your thoughts on the program. Love to hear from you guys as always. So if you have not already, we'd love for you to become a member. You can become a member right here on the USC LAFB YouTube channel or head over to LAFBnetwork.com. You can become a member then. You get special member perks and 20% of your membership every month is donated to help youth sports initiatives here in Los Angeles. So help us help youth sports in LA. Plus you get to help LAFB and keep this thing going and growing. So we would certainly appreciate it if you're willing to do that. Plus you get certain perks and discounts on merch and whatnot. Check out our merch. Our special USC merch. You can actually see it right here on YouTube or just head to LAFBnetwork.com and go to our shop. So thank you as always, Trojan family. Cannot wait to see you all at the Coliseum late night. Big Ten After Dark, 8 p.m. for the Michigan State game. We'll have a preview for that later this week. I'll be on with Tim Prangley Wednesday night, 7 p.m. live. Bring your calls. It's our live call-in show. So make sure you're checking that out. And throughout the season, we're going to do, for sure, most away games will be live directly after the game. Home games most likely will be more Sunday mornings, just since myself, Tim, Madman, we're all at the stadium. It's harder to do a live after the game from the Coliseum. So typically we'll do a Sunday morning, 9 a.m., especially this week. Sorry, we're not going to do a 1 a.m. Live show after USC Michigan State. So see you Sunday morning for our live, hopefully, Sunday victory show. So thank you for hanging out. Thanks for tuning in. As always, fight on.